A few weeks ago, someone sent me a message about something strange happening in Murder Mystery 2. At first, I almost ignored it, because people send stories about Roblox games all the time, and most of them end up being misunderstandings or simple coincidences. But this one felt different. The player wasn't talking about a glitch or a bug or something broken in the game. They were talking about an account. According to them, there was a player who seemed to become the murderer almost every round. If you have played Murder Mystery 2 before, you know that isn't how the game works. Rolls are supposed to be random. Sometimes you might get lucky and become the murderer twice in a row, maybe even 3 times if the odds line up perfectly. But constantly getting the roll over and over again shouldn't happen. At first, the people on that server thought it was just luck. Maybe the player had a good streak. But then something strange started happening. Different players on completely different servers began noticing the same account. The name would appear in the player list, and within a few rounds, that same player would become the murderer again. Sometimes twice in a row, sometimes 3 times. A few players even claimed they saw it happen 4 rounds in a row, which already sounded almost impossible. That's when people started paying attention to it more seriously. One group of players decided to test it. They stayed in the same server for nearly an hour and wrote down the results of every round that happened. Out of 12 matches they played, that same account became the murderer 7 times. 7 out of 12 rounds. Statistically, that shouldn't happen, especially not with the way the game distributes roles. Naturally, someone eventually confronted the account in chat. They asked how they were doing it, whether they were exploiting the game or using some kind of script. But the player never answered. In fact, they never said anything at all. They didn't type in chat, didn't react, didn't acknowledge anyone talking to them. They simply walked around the map like a normal player, collecting coins, waiting for the next round to start. That alone was already strange, but one of the players noticed something even more unsettling. Whenever that account joined a server, the first round always ended very quickly, sometimes within seconds, almost like the murderer already knew exactly where everyone was hiding. At first, people assumed it was just skill. Maybe the player was extremely experienced and knew the maps perfectly. But the more they watched, the more it started to feel wrong. The player never searched randomly. They moved directly toward people hiding in places that normally take minutes to check. Corners were checked immediately. Doors opened at the exact moment someone was behind them. Players who thought they were completely safe were eliminated almost instantly. It was like the player didn't need to search for anyone, like they already knew where everyone was. Some people started saying the account must belong to a developer testing something in the game. Others thought it was just an advanced exploit that nobody understood yet. But there was one detail that nobody could explain. The account itself looked almost empty. No avatar items, no badges, no visible history of playing the game. It looked like a brand new profile that had barely been used. Yet somehow, it kept appearing in servers and becoming the murderer again and again. At first, I didn't believe the story. It sounded like the kind of thing people exaggerate after one weird match. But the player who sent me the message included something that made me pause. They sent screenshots from several different servers, taken on different days, showing the same account name repeatedly becoming the murderer. That's when I decided I needed to see it for myself.
So I decided to check it myself. I joined Murder Mystery 2 and started playing on random public servers, expecting nothing to happen. For almost half an hour, the rounds played normally. Roles were random, people were joking in chat, and the game felt completely normal. I was already starting to think the story was just another exaggeration, when suddenly a new player joined the server. The moment I saw the username, I froze. It was the same account from the screenshots. At first, the player behaved like anyone else. They walked around the map collecting coins and never typed a single message. Then the round ended and the next one started. The roles appeared. The same player became the murderer. Nobody thought much of it. But the round after that started, and the same thing happened again. The same account became the murderer a second time. That's when people started noticing. Someone typed in chat asking if the roles were bugged. Another player joked that the game must really like that guy, but the account never responded. They didn't even stop moving. The round began, and the player immediately started walking through the map. Not running, not searching randomly like most players do. Walking slowly, directly toward people who were hiding. Within seconds, the first player was eliminated behind a door that had barely been opened. Then another player disappeared from the upper floor, even though nobody had seen the murderer go upstairs. The kills were happening too quickly, and the movement looked too precise. It felt like the player didn't need to search for anyone, like they already knew where everyone was hiding. The round ended, and the next one started. Again, the same account became the murderer. This time, the chat filled with messages. People were asking if the player was cheating. Someone wrote that they had seen the same account on another server doing the exact same thing. But the account never said anything. It just kept moving through the map, eliminating players one by one. That's when something even stranger happened. The lights in the map flickered for a moment. At first I thought it was part of the game, but then the sound in the server suddenly went quiet. The background noise faded, and for a few seconds all you could hear were footsteps. Then another player was eliminated, even though nobody had seen the murderer near them. Players started leaving the server quickly. Not out of anger, but because the whole situation suddenly felt wrong. By the time the next round started, only 4 players were left, including me, and once again, the same account became the murderer. My heart started beating faster, because now it felt less like luck and more like the game itself was choosing that player. The round began, and I ran to hide in a room at the end of a hallway, somewhere most players don't check until the very end. For almost a minute, nothing happened. Then I heard footsteps, slow, getting closer. The footsteps stopped directly outside the door. The door opened slowly. The murderer walked in and looked directly at my character, like they knew I had been there the entire time. I was eliminated instantly. When the round ended, the account stood still in the lobby, completely motionless. Then it slowly turned toward the edge of the map and stood there for several seconds. Nobody said anything in chat anymore. Then, without warning, the player left the server. I tried searching for the account immediately, but the profile was already gone. Completely deleted, no results, no history, no record that it ever existed. And the strangest part is that when I checked the server list later that night, several players from that same match were asking the exact same question in other servers. They were asking if anyone else had seen that account, the one that always became the murderer. If you want to hear more creepy Roblox stories and mysteries like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. And if you've ever experienced something strange or mysterious in a Roblox game, tell your story in the comments. I might investigate it in the next video.